engineer Jason Gordon. I'm Justin Garcia signing off, reminding you we will talk once again Sunday night with more Bucks playoff basketball right back here on the BMO Bucks Radio Network.
This BMO Bucks Radio Network broadcast was sponsored by BMO, Go Right Way, Valley Sports Wisconsin, Sargento Cheese, the Freighter, and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network.
Giannis working on Orlando Robinson, spins around him, and goodness gracious, takes it all out on that rim, one-hand slam.
Uline, Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Cousin Subs, and Michelob Ultra. You've been listening to Bucks Basketball on the home of the Bucks, WTMJ. The game is over. Your Bucks postgame show starts now. Welcome to Bucks Talk, insight, analysis, and your chance to sound off on the game you just heard. Now to break it all down, here's your host, Justin Garcia.
Well, it's a very tough loss for the Bucks. And look, if you were one of the few, I shouldn't say few, if you were one of those that tuned out of this one at the end of the first quarter, I don't know that I can say I would blame you, but you may be shocked to see the result of this one, as this was a much different team. We saw really from the start of the second quarter on. It was a work in progress for the Bucks to keep climbing the hill, chip away at that lead. We mentioned took a lot of work. Every time the Bucks would knock that margin down to 10 or 11 points, it seemed like the Pacers would counter with at least 2 baskets themselves. It's a tough loss. There's a lot of positives to take from this. But, you know, as we've said, and especially with a veteran team, a team that's won a championship before, and a team that is in a precarious spot given the status of their best player, there are no moral victories, especially at this level and for a team with the expectations that the Bucks have. So you've put yourself in a very tough spot now. What is in front of the Bucks is the need to win 3 of the next 4 games without home court advantage, a spot that they have struggled mightily on the road this season, below 500. You're now below 500 in the playoffs on the road at 0-1. The deck is certainly appearing to be stacked against the Bucks, but what we saw in the final 41 minutes of this game is what gives you the most belief. Now, it's tough that you had 2 games that you watched the second half slip away as a whole. I know both of the first 2 games, when viewing the final score, they were blowouts. But the tough part about Game 2, you had a very good Damian Lillard performance. Another game where he filled it up in the first half. 26 points at halftime, finished the game with 30-plus, hit 6 3-pointers, and you lost that game. We said at the time, it's tough to lose those games because you're playing without Giannis. You don't have quite as much firepower. We've seen the offense go through some challenges, but you just hate to waste those performances because you cannot ask Damian Lillard to be Superman every single game. You didn't need him to be tonight because of what Chris Middleton gave you, but that's the other frustrating part is you lose a game that was there. It was there for the taking, which no one thought would have been possible after watching the first 12 minutes of this game. And not only was it there for the taking, you lose a game. You, dare I say, waste a Chris Middleton masterpiece, a career-high 42 points, 2 game-tying, high-pressure 3-pointers. But I think you can point to a number of possessions, a handful of those in overtime in the fourth quarter, where it just felt like once the Bucks got it to 3, you had the feeling, man, if you can get this to 2 possessions, if you can get it to 4, 5, 6, if you can get it somewhere around there, you feel pretty good. Your defense overall is coming up with some stops, but you can't anticipate getting a stop every single time. For the most part, you did. But the offensive rebounds and second chance points is ultimately what doomed the Bucks in this one. So again, this is a tough loss. This is very, very frustrating. The Bucks have their work cut out for them now, given all those challenges. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. I don't think you can anticipate Giannis coming back in this series. That's no inside information. everything we've heard about this, it is a 2 to 4 week recovery process. Game 2 was 2 weeks. And we've heard from Doc Rivers, Giannis is progressing. He's basically doing everything but full-on running and sprinting, right? We've seen other reports from Shams Charania that would suggest it may be closer to that 4-week mark. I just think you cannot have the approach of Giannis is going to come back and ultimately save this team. You have to figure out how to beat this team while Giannis is off the floor. And I think the Bucks found a lot of things that worked in this game. But this is now 2 straight years. You're in the same spot. Down 2-1 to the Miami Heat. And again, Game 3 was a game that Giannis didn't play in last year. Giannis came back, and you looked like a much different team for about 36, 38, 40 minutes of game number 4 before ultimately watching a very big lead evaporate. And then the same thing happened in Game 5. The trend that we've seen, and I know these are 2 very different teams this year to last year, but unfortunately the trend that we have seen now is those spots where the Bucks used to be at their best, they've started to come up short in. And those are the spots you have to win. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. A very, very disappointing loss for the Bucks. The result was disappointing. The process, I think, was not. And again, especially those final 41 minutes of this game. It's disappointing to see this performance by Chris Middleton come in a loss because this was truly a remarkable performance. A career high in points scored in a playoff game for Middleton. But when you think about the degree of difficulty on both of those shots, to force overtime and then to potentially force a second overtime, this was an incredible Chris Middleton performance that unfortunately goes for naught. 855-616-1620, the number to join us on Bucks Talk. We'll share some more thoughts and hear from you after this.
A cancer diagnosis shouldn't have to mean living without joy or optimism. At the Fredert and the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Network, we're pushing to put cancer in its place. By bringing together teams of leading specialists who are pioneering ways to treat every type of cancer, and by unleashing promising new clinical trials. Let's push ahead until every cancer diagnosis is a story of survivorship. To learn more about breakthrough cancer care, visit fredert.com/cancer.
Wholesale mulch? No problem. We deliver to residential or wholesale accounts, and we can supply you with whatever volume of the highest quality mulch you need. Nobody around here has more mulch than Erickson's. We'll deliver you a 1-yard pickup truck load all the way up to 100 yards in a walking floor trailer. And if you just need a little bit, swing by and we'll fill up a 5-gallon bucket or 2. It's the best mulch you'll find. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential. Visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Our decorative stone is available by the handful for pickup, all the way up to 24-ton load deliveries. And our stone is superlative. We scour the countryside, countrywide, from Arizona to the Carolinas. We search pretty much the whole U.S. of A. to find you easily the best stone selection in southeastern Wisconsin. See a rainbow of decorative stone colors to match any exterior decor. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
New residential, commercial, or multifamily construction? Call Quality Heating before you begin. Starting a new remodel? Pre-planning any new construction with a qualified HVAC design engineer assures your comfort will be at its maximum. Because the last thing you want your new project to be is uncomfortable. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. From Sheboygan to Illinois to Madison and all of greater southeastern Wisconsin, the man in the red van can give you a master plan.
Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
Her bedroom in back was always warm, while the one in front was as cold as an igloo. She asked me what she should do, and I told her, Mary, zoning will solve your issue. At Quality Heating, the man in the red van knows how to even out your home's temperature and take care of humidity or lack thereof. Heck, you spend most of your life there. Why not maximize its comfort? This is Anthony Zanevsky. Ask the man in the red van about zoned heating and cooling ideas for your home.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
121 to 118 final in overtime. Indiana Pacers take a 2-1 series advantage over the Bucks with this victory tonight. 855-616-1620, the number to join us on Bucks Talk. Let's head to the phone lines and start things in Lombard, Illinois with Mike. What's going on tonight, Mike?
Hey, how you doing? Well, great show almost. It was a great effort by Chris and gang, but they really miss Giannis, and like you said, he's out probably for the rest of the series. And this guy's got a glass body sometimes. I love him. He's the best. But, geez, he just goes down at the worst moments. Last year against the Heat, Atlanta 3 years ago where they almost lost it, but they won it. It's just, I don't think they're going to get past this. There's no moral victory. This is going to be tough. I don't see it happening. Pacers are just too good for this Bucks team without Giannis. It's just too damn bad.
Well, I mean,
that's all.
I don't think you can say it's a glass body. Well, yeah, it's too bad. Thanks for the call, Mike. I think it couldn't be further from the truth to suggest that Giannis is fragile or made of glass. He has been one of the more durable guys. I mean, you pointed out in that same sentence. He went down against the Hawks in 2021. Oh, by the way, he was back from a knee injury we thought was not only going to end that season, but derail next season as well, a week later, and played through the finals. Last year, yes, he missed essentially 3 games in that first-round series with a back injury, which he suffered on one of those plays that needs to be removed from the game when players are taking charges on an airborne player. The difference is, last year, look, you knew you were in trouble against the Miami Heat because, number one, Eric Spoelstra is maybe the best coach in the league and one of the best coaches in the history of this sport. They have proven playoff guys. They have a system that works. They have that postseason experience. Bam Adebayo, you think about that entire group. They've been through the playoffs. I don't care if you don't think the bubble was a real playoffs. Those guys were through it. And I know they didn't go that far in 2021, but they were in the playoffs that year too, against the Bucks, and 2022 when they played the Boston Celtics in the conference finals. Jimmy Butler has been a player that rises to the occasion in the postseason. So you knew you were in trouble last year when it was 2-1, when you lost Game 3 and lost in the fashion the Bucks did, where it was starting to feel like in the first quarter tonight, man, are we headed towards that again? Where the Heat just steamrolled the Bucks in that game. You didn't have Giannis, but nothing went the Bucks' way. You lost that game by 22 points, and it never felt like it was even that close. The point is, that Heat team is very different from this Pacers team. They have a market advantage now. When you win 2 of the first 3 games in a best-of-7 series and you're the lower seed, that is a big advantage because you have stolen home court advantage and you have set it up so the other team has to win 3 of 4 games to eliminate you. But even though the Bucks have their backs against the wall now, this is not last year. It's a Pacers team that looked very tentative in that first game. They do not have postseason experience by and large. It's basically just Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner. And yes, their coach, Rick Carlisle. And even tonight, the interesting part was, I said, you wondered, man, if you could just get this to 2 possessions, if you could get a stop when it was a 3-point game, push it to 5, push it to 6. You really wondered, what would the response from the Pacers be? Because it's not an experienced Indiana Pacers team. And I think we saw stretches in the fourth quarter. They didn't want to shoot the ball. A number of guys on that team seemed to get tense and tight. So in that regard, it's a much different spot than you're in a season ago. I know in terms of Giannis' time on the floor, yeah, that's pretty similar. In terms to being down in this series the way they are, yeah, it's pretty similar. But this is not the same team, and it's not the same challenge that the Bucks faced a season ago. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. Again, an epic performance by Chris Middleton goes to waste as the Indiana Pacers win this one in overtime. We'll take a closer look at some of those plays I mentioned. What needs to go differently? What do the Bucks do differently when you look at some of the numbers, but ultimately what sank them? We'll get into all of that and to preview game number 4 coming up after this on Bucks Talk.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
Why is abbreviation such a long word? You'd think someone could make it shorter.
You mean like instead of saying buy one, get one, you can just say BOGO.
Yeah, kinda.
Through Monday at Hasselus Mattress, buy a new Sealy Posturepedic, Serta Perfect Sleeper, or Beauty Rest mattress, and we'll give you a free box spring or an equal amount off an adjustable base.
Or, in other words,
BOGO.
You're a man of few words. I like that.
Find a self-service showroom near you or shop online at Hasselus.com.
From big tailgate parties to cozy dinners for two, the freshest ideas start with a stop at Century Foods. Now through Wednesday, save on 2-liter selected varieties Super Chill Soda, 4 for $5. 8 to 16.5 ounce selected varieties Hostess Snack Cakes, $2.99. 48 ounce selected varieties Kemp Simply Crafted Ice Cream, $4.49. 59 to 64 ounce selected varieties Silk Milk, 2 for $7.
Hey, why'd you throw my glass across the room?
I have to keep practicing.
The vase from Aunt Sophie?
I'm warming up in case I get to take the mound at American Family Field. Read this.
Win the ultimate baseball fan experience at Century Foods?
You either get to throw out the first pitch, hold the finish line for the famous racing sausages, or be on the field during batting practice. My new TV!
Just doing a little batting practice of my own.
The ultimate baseball fan experience. Return the entry form found in the weekly ad to any Century by July 24th.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
One of the best things about being in business for 25 years is having clients recommend AccuNet to their now adult children for help buying their first homes. That's how I connected with Dan and Allison, and let me tell you, they were fast learners. They quickly embraced our most powerful tool for winning offers, Appraisal Wiggle Room. Their first offer was $15,000 over asking and included a provision which AccuNet guaranteed they could afford to make, that they would still pay the higher offer price even if the appraised value came in up to $15,000 short. The result? Accepted offer versus several others on the very first try. And by the way, if the appraisal had come in $15,000 short, which it did not, Dan and Allison would have needed exactly $0 extra at the closing table. If you think all mortgage lenders are the same, think again. Go with a multi-generation mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com. The round ball repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
121-118, the final in Indianapolis. The Pacers take Game 3 of this series in overtime, spoiling the Chris Middleton game. A career-high 42 points from Middleton, but not enough to lead the Bucks to victory. 855-616-1620 is the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. Let's head back to the phone lines and check in with Bob in Menasha. You're up next.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I did turn the game off for a little bit in that first quarter, but I did turn it back on. You hate to complain, but am I wrong? Were there a couple of tough calls? Like one call, I think it was middle of the fourth quarter, where I thought Lillard got knocked down and fouled, and there was no call. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. And then when there was a 2 or 3 point play where Pasquale went in and it looked like a charge was going to be called. But then I guess they
so that was the one that Doc challenged. I didn't think it was a charge. There was a couple of plays that were very close. I mean, I think the big one that you would point to, the two to me that you would point to, were Damian Lillard earlier in the fourth quarter when he went up for that 3. He was fouled. It certainly seemed as though he was in a shooting motion, but it wasn't ruled a shooting foul. And then there was contact on that late shot in regulation that Damian Lillard seemed like he was hunting. Yeah, and he was hunting the foul, and the officials just didn't give it to him. But that's also a spot where you can't look, unless you've already got a comfortable lead, I just don't think that should have been the offensive approach. I mean, I've seen a few people say, "Hey, the officiating was terrible in this game." I don't know that it was that bad. And to me, look, and I'm sure you would agree, the big thing was rebounds. And Doc said after the game, he's got to review the film to see what went wrong. Granted, some of them were long rebounds, some of them were just right place at the right time, but especially those minutes when you're playing with Brooke and Bobby on the floor, you have to clean up on the glass. And the Bucks did not do that, and that's ultimately why they could never really jump in front.
Thankfully, Portis, plays his tail off out there. He's all over the place. He didn't look real good first half, but he always seems to bounce back. And Lopez isn't a real good. He's not a banger. I think you would agree with me on that. He's not a banger to get off his feet a whole lot for rebounds, but that's just my opinion and so forth. But I think that just without bench points, it's tough for any team, especially to win a championship without getting bench points. Don't you agree? I mean, 6 points against tonight and.
Yeah, 6 is
tough.
I mean, and look, I suppose, speaking of the bench, and thanks for the call, Bob, the one thing to take from this is Doc Rivers, I suppose, found his rotation tonight. And, we saw Malik Beasley play, I think it was 10 minutes in game 2, and Doc said, I pulled him because I didn't think he had a great game, but this isn't me giving up on him. Played 7 minutes tonight, and it seemed like Andre Jackson Jr. has stolen his minutes. That between Andre Jackson Jr. and A.J. Green, those guys have taken the minutes. That for all intents and purposes, the Bucks went 8 deep. They played 10 players total, but Malik Beasley played 7 minutes. Jay Crowder only played 2 minutes. Pat Connaughton, A.J. Green, and Andre Jackson Jr. were the guys that were getting all of your bench production. And AJ didn't take any threes. I mean, that's the other thing to circle here is you need AJ Green taking three-pointers. He only took 1 field goal, and he made it. But you need AJ Green to get up some threes, especially if you're not going to lean on Malik Beasley. Somebody other than Damian Lillard and Chris Middleton has to take on that shooting role. I do wonder if we'll see even more staggering because of those names, Connaughton, Green, and Jackson. They're all basically guards. I know we've seen Pat Connaughton play up. I know you basically saw Andre Jackson Jr. playing up in this game as well. But those are all guards that you're playing off the bench. So I do wonder if that means, I'm not saying it's pulling Bobby Portis out of the starting lineup, but if we see an even more severe staggering of the minutes, because those are the only 2 bigs you have, Bobby and Brooke, until Giannis returns. 855-616-1620 is the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. We'll take a look at the latest from Giannis and some more things to share about Brooke Lopez and some of the different approaches we saw from this Bucks team tonight. We'll do that and still plenty of time to hear from you after this on Bucks Talk.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Susan Hiller from Hiller Ford here with news for anyone thinking about buying a new Ford in the near future. You may want to make the move right now because Hiller Ford has some exceptional deals this month. Hiller is now offering 0% financing on all remaining 2023 Ford Bronco Sports, Explorers, Mustang Mach-E's, and 2024 Edges. This is a great time to buy from Hiller Ford. Stop in today, check out all the money-saving deals, and find out why so many people love to buy from Hiller Ford.
Hey, this is Steve Scafidi for Advent. I had some snoring issues that kept my wife up at night. That led to poor sleep and a lot of tired mornings on the radio, and nobody wants that, trust me. But it's simply, my nose wasn't working the way it should. I decided to go to Advent for a quick 30-minute visit, one of their great facilities, talk to a bunch of their doctors. They really put me at ease. After a really simple sleep study at home, in my own bed, they determined the root cause of my problem had to do with my sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. I didn't even know I had a breathing triangle, so I went to see Advent. After a short procedure done an office, I'm back to breathing well, and my wife and I are both back to sleeping through the whole night. The best sleep we've ever had, that could be you. If you struggle with restless nights like I did, take the time to see how Avid can help. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your life and your nights a whole lot better, go to avidknows.com, schedule an appointment today. Because Avid knows, when you breathe well, you live better.
Susan Hiller from Hiller Ford, back with another reason to buy your next Ford from Hiller Ford. This month, Hiller is offering 1.9% 66-month FlexBuy financing on all 2023 F-150s. This includes factory bonus cash of $3,000. Now that's a great deal. And just for coming in for a test drive, you get Girl Scout cookies. Stop in today, check out all the great deals, get some cookies, and find out why so many people love to buy from Hiller Ford.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend. Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production. Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week, Marcus and his son Chris are joined by former Milwaukee Bucks point guard Brandon Jennings. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast. This is Bucks Talk.
121-118 overtime final score. Pacers take a 2-1 series advantage. Despite an epic performance from Chris Middleton, we cannot say enough about what Chris did tonight. Also, not to get lost in the mix of all of this, you didn't know if Chris Middleton was going to play in this game. He had an ankle injury, had to get his ankle retaped in the first quarter of that Game 2 loss, was listed as questionable. Doc Rivers said yesterday, it's definitely wait and see. We hope Chris Middleton is going to be able to play, but we don't know. So that's how we entered today, knowing Giannis was ruled out. That was earlier in the day. And not knowing if Chris Middleton was going to play. He did, and man, did he deliver. 42 points, 4 3-pointers, 16 of 29, 10 rebounds, the game-tying 3 in the fourth quarter to force overtime, the game-tying 3 in overtime to, you thought, potentially force a double overtime. But Tyrese Halliburton had an equally big play. And look, I suppose you could dissect what could the Bucks have done differently. The Pacers put Tyrese Halliburton in the backcourt. They got him going downhill and attacking. He made a tough shot with that floater and was fouled to add the 3. Made it doubly tough. As Doc Rivers said, it's a tough shot. You can live with the floater. You can't foul. A 2-pointer can tie it. And granted, not a whole lot of time. 2-pointer can tie it. You wondered, are the Pacers going to foul the Bucks? That foul was tough. So what could you have done differently? You could have taken somebody off the inbounds pass. You could have put 2 on Tyrese Halliburton. Sure. But to me, this game was lost on the glass and in those moments, in the fourth quarter and in overtime, where the Bucks had a chance to maybe not put your foot on the throat of the Pacers, but push that margin. Make it a 2-possession game. They were never able to do that. And look, credit to the Pacers, because as we said earlier in the show, this is not the Miami Heat. This is not the battle-tested group. This is not the group that has postseason experience. It's not the same monster that you're dealing with. But they hit some tough shots. They made some big plays. They kept plays alive with their work on the glass. And credit to Aaron Nesmith. 0 of 6 from 3. He hit the biggest 3 of the game. Because, man, if he misses that, it's a tie game with 15 seconds left. Assuming you get the rebound, you can play for the last shot. And on a night where Chris Middleton is 42 and you still have Damian Lillard, you feel pretty good about your chances there. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. Still a few more calls to get to. We'll hear from you next.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes, allergies, cancer. Nothing will keep the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network from pushing Wisconsin ahead. We're constantly raising the bar for medical excellence and providing more ways to receive it, so you have it for all your health needs, big and small. Let's push ahead, and we'll make life here as great as it can be. Visit Freighter.com to find out how.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
The new fractured boulders we now have in stock are really nice. They're squarer and more rectangular in shape, and they're great for building dry-laid retaining walls. They're much easier to deal with, lock together nicely, and you get less gaps. No wet mortar needed. And we've stocked a multitude of colors. You can use them as an accent item to add character to your dry river or creek beds, too. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential. Visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Our organic mulch is comprised of all trees. Most mulch is made from ground-up pallets, and you don't know what might have been spilled on those pallets. Could be chemicals or who knows what. But not our mulch, we're recycling trees. Many species of hardwoods. Cedar, hemlock, light brown, dark brown, mocha, black, red, gold, and caramel. 7 colors to choose from means a mulch to match any exterior. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential. Visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
$121-118 final score in overtime. The Pacers take a 2-1 advantage over the Bucks despite 42 points, a new career high in the playoffs from Chris Middleton. Let's head back to the phone lines and hear some more of your thoughts. Head to North Carolina. Shu, you're up next.
Hey, what's up, Justin, man? It's been a minute since I called. Last time I called, I was calling for the head of Adrian Griffin, and I got that. And I was also calling for the start of Andre Jackson. And as you can clearly see, he needs to be in the starting role next game over Pat Bev. He needs to go to the bench. Andre Jackson brings a certain kind of lift. When they got up by 20, Andre Jackson was on the floor when they cut that lead down to 10. I don't know why they didn't have him in the fourth quarter. He had 4 fouls. I mean, he wasn't scoring any points, but his energy, and I feel like they got 6 offensive rebounds at the end of that overtime. I feel like if he was out there and the way he be moving, he would have got that rebound. Bobby Portis is too emotionally unstable. When he is not locked in and hearing the Bobby chants, he caught like his offense and him getting blocked or losing the ball when he's in the post, like that can't be happening because you got guys like Siakam who's killing you in the mid-range. Brook Lopez missing layups at the rim.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just like the other guys need to step up, and Dame needs to, like, you know how Steph Curry moves in Golden State's offense? He's always moving. He's not just standing in the corner. Like, they need to, like, our half-court offense still looks the same for the past 3 years. When we get in the half-court set, we're not moving. It's just ISO pick-and-roll ball. Meanwhile, you see how Indiana spaces us out when we're in the zone? Why can't we create some type of offensive scheme in the half-court to help these guys get more open shots? If they're going to be face guarding Damian Lillard on the 3, why can't y'all guys set screens up for him to get open instead of him just standing in the corner while Chris Middleton is backing Nesmith down? The offense has to be better. We have to get better rebounding. I didn't think we needed Giannis this much, but for tonight, after what I saw, like, Brook Lopez can't guard Miles Turner or Siakam from the three-point line, because if he steps out too far, they're going to blow past him, and if he doesn't step out enough, they're going to shoot over him. He is a big mismatch out there on the floor. We need Giannis. We need Andre Jackson to at least get in the starting lineup. I told y'all about Malik Beasley earlier this year when I said Andre Jackson needs to be starting because it was the reason why he got benched in that Western Conference Finals. Well, he got benched before that, and now it's starting to show up. He went completely cold now in the playoffs, nowhere to be found. And those minutes that he was getting should have been Andre Jackson or Marjon Beauchamp to help them get ready for this type of play. Because the Pacers are a young team, but they've been playing all season, and now they're cohesive and they're playing at the right time. This is the biggest problem with Milwaukee. What is going on with the player development? There's the best player that they drafted and developed was Giannis, Jabari Parker, Larry Sanders.
Malcolm Brogdon,
John Henson. You said, Brogdon. But then what did y'all do with him?
Well,
y'all traded Dante DiVincenzo. You traded Brogdon.
Dante was up there too.
Go ahead.
Thanks for the call, Shu. I mean, look, I agree with all of what you've said here. I think in terms of player development, the challenge the Bucks have been up against is, number one, you're drafting very late in the first round, or you don't have a first-round pick by way of the Drew Holiday trade, and get used to it because of the Damian Lillard trade. But look, I was wrong, right? When everybody was calling in and saying Andre Jackson Jr. needs to play, I didn't disagree. I didn't think he would, though, because it's not just Doc Rivers, right? We had the same conversations with Mike Budenholzer. You just don't see coaches lean on young guys, especially rookies, in these spots, and especially a team that's set up like the Bucks, full of veterans. I agree. It's evident, everything that Andre Jackson Jr. brings to the table and how imperative it is to have that in the series against the Indiana Pacers and the pace that they play at. But my thought all along was, look, yeah, you can talk me into it, but I just don't think it'll happen. And look, if the Bucks are not down by 19 and you don't know what's going to happen with Damian Lillard, because that's the other thing not to get lost in all of this. This was teetering on absolute disaster. You know, the Bucks down by 19. This was flirting with being run off the floor, still not knowing the status of Giannis, potentially losing Damian Lillard, and then a lot of long, hard questions to answer. If that doesn't happen, if the score isn't what it is, and if Dame isn't injured, do we see Andre Jackson Jr.? We can't answer that. But we did, and his impact was very, very apparent. I agree, too. I was surprised we didn't see him quite as much in the second half. Maybe not necessarily late in the fourth quarter and in those spots, but it just seemed like the moments where the Bucks were playing with two bigs were when they had the most issues for all the reasons that you pointed out. It's a quicker team. It's a team that's going to spread you out and play fast. That is not Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis' game. It just seemed as though you got to play with one big, you got to play with Andre Jackson Jr. and Pat Beverly. The lineup that seemed to be the best lineup for the Bucks. Pat Beverly, Andre Jackson Jr., Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, and a big. Especially if you're going to get beat on the glass the way that they did, you can't. You even more so cannot play multiple bigs against this team. But that may end up being the revelation. That I would assume this means Andre Jackson Jr. is here to stay in the rotation, and frankly, he needs to be in this series. I don't know if this slams the door on Malik Beasley, but I think back-to-back games, seeing the way that Doc Rivers utilized him, it doesn't bode well there. Same with Jay Crowder. And it's no surprise the guys that got the bulk of the minutes were switchable guys. Pat Connaughton, Andre Jackson Jr., A.J. Green. So, yes, there was a lot to take away on the positive front. But still not knowing the status of Giannis and if you will have Giannis. It's not when, it's if Giannis will be back in this series. That's what's going to make it very tough for the Bucks moving forward. Again, It is not as bad a spot as they were in a season ago against Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat and Eric Spoelstra and Bam Adebayo. But it's not a spot you want to be in. We'll wrap up the show after this on Bucks Talk.
Quality heating.
Heat pumps have been the norm down south, but they're new up here. And I'm a big advocate for them. They're far more efficient than conventional AC systems and serve as a backup to your furnace too. They don't use gas and they're really efficient. And that's why the government basically pays for a big portion of these babies with rebates. So before you install a conventional AC system, ask the man in the red van about an Armstrong air heat pump.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
Manufacturers can void a warranty if annual maintenance can't be proven. Having a preventive maintenance agreement on your HVAC system keeps your warranty in check, helps avoid nuisance calls and your system failing at inopportune times. You get 15% off parts and labor on repairs, no trip charges, discounted pricing for replacements, and priority service. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. See the man in the red van about a preventive maintenance agreement starting at only $25.50 per month.
Quality heating, quality heating.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. If you're like me, my home has become my happy place. It's happier now thanks to CertaPro painters. They are simply the best in the business. They will take care of the scuffs, the faded colors. They'll make your home a new home, inside or outside. They did the work at our house. It was quick, easy, and so affordable. Their estimates are always easy. You get a quote right away. It's simply the best in the business. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
One of the best things about being in business for 25 years is having clients recommend AccuNet to their now adult children for help buying their first homes. That's how I connected with Dan and Allison, and let me tell you, they were fast learners. They quickly embraced our most powerful tool for winning offers, Appraisal Wiggle Room. Their first offer was $15,000 over asking and included a provision which AccuNet guaranteed they could afford to make, that they would still pay the higher offer price even if the appraised value came in up to $15,000 short. The result? Accepted offer versus several others on the very first try. And by the way, if the appraisal had come in $15,000 short, which it did not, Dan and Allison would have needed exactly $0 extra at the closing table. If you think all mortgage lenders are the same, think again. Go with a multi-generation mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
The Round Ball Repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
Pacers take Game 3 in overtime, 121-118. Game number 4 is Sunday night, 6 o'clock tip, 5:30 is when our pregame coverage begins. Of course, Bucks Talk will be on immediately afterwards. One final thing to pass on here. We mentioned Damian Lillard leaving the game in the first quarter, not knowing what it would look like. Now, on that play, if you recall, Damian Lillard had the back of his foot stepped on by Pascal Siakam. Not any malicious play, but Siakam, when contesting, came down on the back of Damian Lillard's foot. He left, came down hard on his knee, eventually re-entered the game. After the game, Doc Rivers told reporters, I think it's his Achilles again. So we'll see. He was really struggling in the second half. In overtime, he literally said, I'll be the decoy. I just can't go as far as explosion. So that is something to keep an eye on for Sunday. Sunday night, the Bucks and the Pacers, game number 4 in this best-of-7 series, a big one for the Bucks. 6 o'clock tip, 5:30 is when our pregame coverage begins. And as always, be sure to stick around after the game for Bucks Talk. We will talk to you then.
More fish this year. Upgrade your gear with the best brands like Rapala, Berkeley, and St. Croix. Find exclusive flicker sheds you won't find anywhere else, starting at $12.99. Get rod and reel combos starting at only $24.99.